In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is telling Krishna that he doesn't want to participate in this war that he's been told that he has to play a part in and fight against uh, family and people that he knows. And Krishna tells him, "You have to do this. You have to do this. This is your role." And he helps teach him how to be able to hold his position and the point of view. What's the correct way? Well, it's just an allegory for participating in the world but not being of it and being firmly established in the not of it. You've heard of that, be in the world but not of it, which is a Christian biblical saying. Has many different traditions speak about this. And it's applicable to nowadays, to right now in your own life, at any given time, at any, time it's applicable, especially right now with the collective angst and the pain body being really activated. The universal one body is just vibrating a lot of dissonance and understandably. Remembering what's true and evoking your own spiritual practices right now is so important. Try not to forget to take care of yourself in this way so that you can have one wing in the being part and the other wing in the becoming part, which would be being in the world. Not of it would be that which is always firmly established in what is unchanging, and spirit part, the part that is timeless, unborn, the absolute nature of reality, always is. And this isness is always becoming. It has a creative component to it. And that creative component is everything that's arising, all form, all form. And that includes ourselves. And we have this ability as human beings to be self-conscious. And so we've created this separation and duality and division through that ability to be self-conscious, because we're looking at ourselves and we turn ourselves into an object. And then all life, when suddenly we're separate from nature, right? So being in the world is in that way, when we're playing out this division and separation, which is happening in a large scale, as we know, it creates a complete imbalance and a lot of suffering and pain ensues. It's the playing out of division, as I've said. And as spiritual aspirants, it's a very old word, we're meant to be remembering our true nature, coming back home to what is undivided inside. And then the invitation is to be in the world, but from that place, not to get lost again and to buy in and get all disorganized and suffer in that way that comes from forgetting, self-forgetting, but to be able to build a bridge from not of it, be resting in what's undivided, your being nature, presence. And you do this through, whatever means calls to you, meditation, long walks in nature, yoga nidra, whatever awareness practices, anything that helps you remember what is true, come back home over and over again. So your spiritual practice is really being strongly encouraged right now by life. And because we're meant to become conscious here. And it's just the bar's been raised, a collective bar has been raised, but all in terms of how difficult it is to not be in self-forgetting because of all the ways of being distracted and ways to be hypnotized and including the nervous system being on overwhelm, right? Yeah. But at the same time, there are so many of us who are interested and in love with truth and are being called to remember what's true here now in the midst of, like in the Bhagavad Gita, in the midst of chaos, I suppose, but it's not chaos everywhere. I mean, I don't have chaos right now in my home, and when I look outside, there's no chaos. There's a lot of nature here, but in a as a global community, there's a lot of suffering happening, right? So we don't want to be, well, the encouragement is to not be pushing away of the world. It's more about just don't get lost in it, right? As much as possible. If you start to feel yourself be sucked in and get anxious and nervous, lay off the news and do some things that are so good for you. Hang out with some friends who are loving and kind, touch into the goodness of human beings because there's so much goodness happening. It's very encouraging, honestly, and it's kind of like the what often happens when there's sort of crises is that people will also there a lot of humanity rises up to meet it. But at the same time, it's still our own spiritual personal practice is still of very high value, okay? Because we're while we're a part of one great whole, we're also individual souls. You don't have to see it that way. Sparks of God, whatever, that are on a journey of remembering. It's just that it's there. The wake-up call is larger than it was, 100 years ago or 200 years ago in terms of the suffering calling us to wake up. But that's what happens, and it's something that happens cyclically throughout humanity, throughout time. There have been cyclical times of major catastrophes and so on, and you might not be experiencing life in that way right now, it's all very individual, what you're experiencing. Either way, being of the world, being in the world but not of it is something to contemplate and not as a protective measure, right? I'm not of the world. I'm going to be just resting as observer, transcend, No, you can be observer, you can transcend in order to remember and carry that understanding of what is beyond all this, carried into what is this, because this is also made of that, everything. And I'm not speaking about nature, which is already unified. I'm talking about the human created aspect of the world, okay? And I wish you well, and and may you find time in your own life to come back home and take care of your nervous system and do practices and things that are good for you for self-care so that you can be in the world and act from that place of wholeness and presence more and more and more. The world needs it, and we need one another. We need one another with our open hearts, with our unified, empty mind, not just placing beliefs over everything, right? Lost in Maya. We need one another to be sane, true sanity. All right, be well, take care.